This young lady has embraced Candace's teaching to the point that she is now bringing in confident assertions about stuff she doesn't know about.
Footage where you see him waiting his turn to go ask his question, and he looks nervous. He was swaying back and forth rather rigorously, and he looks nervous, just my opinion. And right before he asks his ever so ironic question, he looks in Brian Harpool's direction and touches his glasses, and I feel comfortable saying that this was a signal used by Charlie Kirk's security team.
But you don't know that though. The sad thing about this young lady is she wants to be in the mix so bad that she's creating new scenarios and problems that nobody else has said that. And so anybody touching their glasses is giving Charlie Kirk's signal. Grace and peace, everybody. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. Let's get at it. A lot of people don't think about it, but please remember, Candace Owens, though she's a podcaster, though she's an investigative journalist, she's also a teacher. She's giving information that people are applying in their lives or they're applying out into the world. She's a teacher. And so therefore, we have to look at her and examine her as a teacher as well as all those other qualities. And I've made the case before, and I'm gonna make it again. Candace is a false teacher. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 4. As I urged you when I was going to Macedonia, remain in Ephesus so that you may charge certain persons not to teach different doctrine, nor to devote themselves to myths or endless genealogies, which promote speculations rather than stewardship from God. That is by faith. The aim of our charge is the love that issues from a pure heart and good conscience and sincere faith. Certain people, by swerving from these, have wandered away into vain discussions, desiring to be teachers of the law without understanding either what they are saying or the things about which they make confident assertions. Jason, where are you going with that? I'm glad that you asked. Let's bring back up our Candace clone, our most let's bring back our Candace clone.
As selectively shared with Candace, however,
I just want to show you this young lady has embraced Candace's teaching to the point that she is now bringing in confident assertions about stuff she doesn't know about. Watch this.
In the footage that Terrell has selectively shared with Candace, you cannot see the ground. So either that day at UVU, they had changed things up and they had zoomed in the camera so that you couldn't see the area around Charlie, or Terrell had zoomed in after the fact and he was showing a cropped version of the footage to Candace. Either way, it gives the impression that they're hiding something.
So this young lady is making a lot of hay about the video clip that Terrell, I think his last name was Farnsworth, sent to Candace Owens, and Candace Owens blasted on her page. And she's assuming that the video that Candace displayed on her page and that she saw was the video clip in its entirety that Terrell uploaded or shared with Candace. You don't know that. And this is just another example. It's something small, because I don't think that any of this is a big giant nothing burger. But my point is, why is she doing that? Because she wants to believe that her false teacher is telling her the right thing, when in fact, you don't know that. But even worse than that, none of that matters. But let's keep bringing in, I want you to see this.
The other thing that you might have noticed is that they typically have the audiovisual team on Charlie's right and the security team on Charlie's left. I can show you clip after clip after clip after clip of Dan Flood being on Charlie's left. It is the right hand of the screen, but it would have been Charlie's left-hand side. And that was the setup that they had on this American comeback tour. But for some reason,
I don't know why she's making such a big deal about Dan, and you'll hear in a second why she's trying to put Dan Flood on the right, and that being nefarious when he used to be on the left. But I've seen other videos where Dan Flood is on the right. I've watched several videos of him on the right. It's not a big deal. For whatever reason, they decided, maybe because there's more open space on one side. Maybe they decided because of a slew of other reasons. Who knows? But why are we assuming that we know that this is something wrong. And watch what she does in a second when every movement is under scrutiny. And but why are you doing that? Because you've given over to these vain assertions that Candace has made to the point now that you're creating new ones. Watch this.
Reason at UVU, they changed the setup and it was reversed. I have no idea why, but I do have suspicions.
You have suspicions, but you also you invalidated your suspicion by saying, I don't know why. Because it could have been 1,000 reasons. You're not on their team. But watch what she does.
They changed the setup because it was their planned escape route to the SUV. Or maybe it was to have a clearer view of the corner of the Losi Center building where the shooter was. Another anomaly I noticed was people's behavior that day. You have Hunter Kozak seemingly practicing his surprised face. I've covered that before on the channel. There is about 10 minutes of footage.
Okay, I want you to pay attention to this segment. Notice what she did. They've sped up this video clip. Now, it might not be a big deal to you. I don't think it's really a big deal. But if you speed up somebody's movements from, take 10 minutes of time and compress it down to 5 or even more, you're going to see a lot of movement that looks weird because it's compressed. Look at what she does. This is double speed.
Where you see him waiting his turn to go ask his question, and he looks nervous. He was swaying back and forth rather rigorously, and he looks nervous, just my opinion. And right before he asks his ever so ironic question, he looks in Brian Harpool's direction and touches his glasses, and I feel comfortable saying that this was a signal used by Charlie Kirk's security team.
But you don't know that, though. The sad thing about this young lady is she wants to be in the mix so bad that she's creating new scenarios and problems that nobody else has said that. And so anybody touching their glasses is giving Charlie Kirk's signal. Like, just think about that. That doesn't make sense. Why did you have to speed up the man's movements in order to make him look like he was swaying back and forth and super nervous? What if you played it at regular speed? What would it look like then? Like, this is just a really bad take for her.
I saw Dan Flood do it enough times at other campus events that I feel confident in my assessment that this was a signal for something. I don't know what it was a signal for, but
You don't even know what it was a signal for their team. So how do you know that Brother Man was doing it? Are there no instances where somebody touches their glasses? Maybe out of nervousness, maybe out of just fidgeting. Maybe just doing something. I turn and the glasses are a little bit weird and it's a reflection that you can't see off camera. Like, why are you creating this thing that, because you got this conspiracy where you want me to believe that the entire security team is working against Charlie Kirk.
appears to be a signal for something. And Hunter Kozak also did it that day. It's very suspicious. And take a look at Dan Flood's body language here. His arms are by his side and he seems more alert than usual. And this stood out to me as an anomaly because here is Dan Flood at the University of Florida. Here is Dan Flood at the University of Southern California. And here is Dan Flood at the University of Tennessee. And what do you notice about Dan Flood's body language? He consistently stands in this pose with his arms folded at his stomach. Of course, he occasionally breaks from the pose, but this is the default position.
Can you imagine being scrutinized to say, hey, when you're standing on security detail, people are looking at whether or not your arms are across your chest or your arms on your side. And that is suspicious. And now we think that maybe you were involved in the deletion of the person that you were supposed to be protecting just because you didn't have your hands across your chest or folded, but you just had them on your side. Man, can you imagine that, man?
That he stands in. But the day of Charlie's assassination, we see a period where his body language is entirely different from all of the previous campus events. His hands aren't up at his stomach, they're at his side. We also see him speaking into his lapel microphone and covering his mouth. That's not something he typically does. I found dozens of instances where he wasn't that careful and he didn't cover his mouth to block lip readers. But
it's kind of embarrassing. It really is, man, because this woman really wants there to be something. She really wants to have found some kind of magic. She really wants there to be found something that will make her valid, because I could think of at least 10 reasons why Dan Flood would cover his mouth while he's speaking. I mean, it doesn't seem like, it's almost like it's hard to come up with which one you want to run with because there's so many. Why are you creating these scenarios? Just let it go, Jason. Let's get done.
At UVU, he made sure to block his mouth. We can see that he looks at his watch, possibly receives a message to his watch, and after reading it, then he puts his arms up like he normally does. In my opinion, it looks like somebody told him to fix up. Fix up your body language. You're not doing the proper thing you're supposed to do. But going back to the exploding.
What's that mean? Oh my gosh. She's about to go with the exploding microphone, which has been proven false multiple times over. But watch this, though. This is just so, like, man, this is why I say Candace is a false teacher. And she is instituted and kind of given a hall pass to bad ideas. And watch this. This is just dumb.
Mike theory, given how the camera footage has been cropped, seemingly, given the way that Charlie's shirt ballooned up at the moment that we heard that boom, given the debris that was in the back of the SUV after the fact, it makes you wonder. And there may be some more legitimacy to this theory. This is something that Baron Coleman has covered on his podcast in the past, but I want to highlight it again here because I think it's an important.
But Baron Coleman is retarded. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, now dumb people are referencing dumb people about dumb things. You're not going to get smart like that.
Angle. The day that Charlie Kirk was at UVU, he posed for a photo with this gentleman, Butch Hibbs. Butch is the brother of Pastor Jack Hibbs, and the Hibbs are a military family. Now, Baron Coleman has pointed out that there is something in Butch's pocket that appears to be the same size as a Rode mic.
You see that? That is 2 inches high and low by 2 inches right and left. And it's just short of 2 inches. I'm telling you, it sticks off of his chest about, a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. And it's got these rounded corners on it. These are the dimensions of the Rode microphone. It is 46.4 meters high. This is the receiver, meaning this is the piece that's underneath your shirt. 46.4 millimeters high. 44 millimeters wide.
So the theory is that Butch Hibbs, this man with ties to the U.S.
Wait till you hear the whole military used an experimental exploding microphone. Poor baby. Let's go.
Military, that he is the individual who brought the mic with the explosives in it. And the theory is that the company who manufactured the explosives is Accurate Energetic Systems. On May 1st, 2025, AES received a contract from the Department of Defense to make extra small demolition charges, and the contract was due August 25th, which also happens to be 2 days before the UVU event was announced. And Baron did some digging to see if it's possible that Butch Hibbs was the one who retrieved the munitions, and this is what he found.
I forgot. I'm sorry. This is some real boneheaded behavior. But this is what I expect from people who embrace Candace's teachings, that they now go off looking for any kind of myth, any kind of old wives' tale that they can chase after. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Give me your 2 cents. I really do appreciate it. Thank y'all so much for tapping in. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the JWhit Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.